Hey, it's Bill Trombley from Trombley Tool in East Troy, Wisconsin. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a short video, and it'll be about going to metal meets. In one of my earlier videos when I talked about education, I talked about metal meets briefly. I just wanted to bring it up again. I just got back late last night from the spring meet. It was the Route 56 metal meet that's hosted by Dan and Luann up in Denison, Minnesota. And that's usually in the springtime. And we had a great time. It was a good turnout, a lot of work that was being done, good presentations. And I wanted to kind of briefly talk about that and why it's important. The benefit of going to metal meets is there's a tremendous amount of information that you can get that's almost free. And it's just hard to pass up. You got craftsmen that show up from many different parts of the country to talk about metal shaping. Give you a couple ideas of seminars that were put on. Pat Brubaker from Imperial Wheeling Machine Company out of Hastings, Nebraska was there. Pat had asked that he was going to put on a couple presentations, and he'd asked me if I had, jump in anywhere where I saw fit. So he was doing a paper pattern presentation and how to lay out paper patterns basically on high crown panels and trying to get some points across. And then I'd offered up some information on paper patterning reverse curves, some things that I've experienced. There was a fellow by the name of Gail who put on a number of presentations on upholstery, which were really good. There's a fellow by the name of Eric who did a bead rolling demonstration. We had some guys that were doing some rubber mat forming in an Eckhold machine, so we got to watch that process. Fellow, his name's Alan from Ox Plenishing Hammer Tools was there. The Ox Plenishing Hammer, some of you guys might have seen, there's two different sizes now. This is the small one and the big one that Alan offers. And the great thing with this kind of event is that it gives you a chance to actually meet guys like that and then try the equipment. Alan did a presentation, and then, if you wanted to try it before you buy it, you could do that. And that is a great thing, especially with some of the investments. If you're a smaller shop and you're looking at, should I have an Ox Plenishing Hammer as an example, is it worth it, right? Is it a good application for you? And going to a metal meet allows that to happen. Even if he wasn't there, right? You could ask, has anyone used one of these? And more than likely, we could find one and you could actually try it and talk about it and see which aspects do you like. With Pat, he had a number of items there from his company that he makes. I'll give you an example, is this rubber upper wheel to use in an English wheel. So this is a 3D printed soft piece on here, 8-inch diameter. And I tried it and I liked it and I bought it. Same thing with upper wheel cradle. So I could slide in different options into my English wheel. And the wonderful thing with metal meets is I could see this in a catalog and go, I don't know. But I go to a metal meet and I can try it and go, man, that's awesome. Take my money and let me walk out the door with it. And that's the great thing. You can exchange a lot of information back and forth. And you get to spend time with some high quality craftsmen in the process. We're all like-minded, think the same and everything else. And we've all come from different backgrounds and different challenges. I'll give you an example. Here in the shop, as you guys know, I do mainly aluminum work, and I gas weld and I TIG weld. And when I gas weld, I always had a basic fundamental issue. The details aren't necessarily that important. But I would meet with other gas welders around the country, and a lot of people had the same kind of a problem, and we could never find a solution. So I told Alan, you know, I'd like to weld with you and just spend a little bit of time. And he said, okay. And they said, do you want me to set up a panel and everything? He said, no, I got a piece. And we'll set it up together and we'll do it. And that piece actually is this piece here. And, you know, I started tack welding it together, and I was having problems with it. And Alan said, no, you know, you should do it like this. And we talked about it. And he welded his process, and it solved what my question was. You know, the light bulb in my head went off, and the room got brighter because of it. You know, that simple interaction between Alan and I, when that first started, it was just him and I. And how long did we talk about welding? I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. But about 10 minutes in from that, all of a sudden guys saw what we were doing, and they too came in and watched us have this discussion. And there's a problem, and what is the solution, and work a way to the solution. One of the things when we were done is I asked Alan, I said, you know, could I run the panel through a foot shear and shear off and save your weld? And he had said, you know, it's a scrap piece, just take the whole piece with you. And that's kind of an odd request when you think about it. But there is a valuable reason why. By having his weld, I had this piece that I could have here at the shop. And while I was sitting there talking to Alan, I actually took a Sharpie marker and I was writing notes right on this panel like this, you know, of all of these things to consider and all of these things to think about. And when I got here this morning, I actually took and I rewrote those notes onto this legal pad that I can now put in my binder with all my other notes from these metal shaping events. And that's how come it's not on here anymore. And what's important is not only taking in the information, but then remember, as soon as you get home, to practice it. Right? So we drove home late last night. First thing this morning, I raced to the shop and reproduced it. So you can see here, I took and I ran this through the shear, and I cut this into two pieces, and I followed Alan's procedure, and I welded it, and I solved all my problems. Now, I know on the video you're going to look at that and go, well, that's all lumpy and everything. And it's like, that's not what this was the point of this exercise. This point was a question in regards to weld quality. And I got exactly what I want. It took me several years of gas welding, and finally now I got an answer that has been a question since day one. And I'm ecstatic because of it. So thanks, Alan, for all your help. That's the benefit of a metal meet, right? That was worth the trip. And spending time with Pat, and we did some English wheel stuff, and you know, I talked to him about issues that I have, and he said, you know, these are things to consider, and ideas and processes that help with that. And watched Gail with his interior presentation, or where you do the sewing machine work. I forget the upholstery work, I'm sorry. And that stuff was awesome. I have an interest in that. And that's the benefit going to a melt meet. Cass Naraki had shown up. He was there for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. And what was great is you could sit down and talk to him and ask him questions. And he's very well known in the metal shaping community and has a great book that he has written. and to be able to have his book and talk to him about things that he made. Pat was doing a second English wheel demonstration, and we brought Cass over, and he was able to comment on things that Pat was doing and have that level of discussion. And that's what's truly great. So it's something to think about. So if you're new to metal shaping, we encourage you to come to a metal meet. There's several ways you could do it. You see, it's some people kind of just walk around and watch processes as they are done. And that's one way. We encourage you, though, to bring a project. Bring some parts that you want to make. But you got to remember, if you bring me a piece that you made and you ask me what I think, I'll tell you it looks nice. Right? If you ask me, is there anything I could do better, then I could offer up that information. But we don't want to, some people say, well, what do you think of my part? Well, I don't want to criticize your part. I mean, that would be rude. But if you ask, is there things that we could improve upon, then we're open to that conversation. But you got to remember, if a criticism is passed, that it's supposed to be a constructive criticism. So don't take it personal if it's offensive. It was never be the intent of any of us. We're all there for the same reason. We're all there to learn. So that's an important aspect of it. And it also would be helpful if you said, well, I'm interested in gas welding. Well, okay. I mean, if there's enough interest in the guys, or if something like that happens, that's fine, and that might very well happen. A better way to approach it is hey, I have a problem with gas welding, and I'd really like to talk to you guys about it, and is there any way we could do it? Because then that helps us gauge that, there's a lot of interest in this, and we'll try to make it happen. But you got to bear with us. You got to remember that we're all getting pulled in different directions, and we try to accommodate everyone. But it isn't always easy. And if we didn't, don't take offense to it. It was, sometimes we get busy and forget, or, we kind of get to the point where we're running around quite a bit, and it was an innocent mistake, and bring it up next time. That's the great thing of this event. And it's supposed to be fun. Most metal meets, meals are served during metal meets, and that's to help keep metal shapers there. And if you're having good conversation, we don't want conversations broken up because everyone's leaving to go off to restaurants or something like that. And so you'll see guys that are eating while they're working, and you have guys that work late into the evening. I'm a night owl. I've been at more than one metal meet where I've been there at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yet you got other guys that are more the morning guys, and they get up early to do that stuff. And that's all great. And that's the benefit of having these kinds of events. So it allows us to spend time around guys that are passionate about it and have knowledge, and it's all information that you can gain from that at a great price. So how do you know about it? What would be the easiest way? The easiest way is on All Metal Shaping Forum. We talked about that in the past. And on there, these kinds of events get posted. And we encourage anyone that's going to hold a metal meet, to make it known and make a posting on All Metal Shaping. That way guys can know about it, sign up for it, and go. So there's another metal meet that's coming up in August. It's down in Belfast, Tennessee, or kind of in that area. It's just south of Nashville. And I don't know if the dates have been published yet, but where to look for that is go to All Metal Shaping. If it isn't posted now, it'll probably be up in the next few weeks. And check in. check in on there to see these events as they pop up. People go, well, you know, that event isn't in my backyard, so I'm not going to go. Well, Belfast, Tennessee isn't in my backyard either, in East Troy, Wisconsin, and we go. We have a couple other guys, and we kind of all get together and we carpool down, and it's worth it. It is truly, the amount of information that I got out of going to metal meets has been tremendous. And the guys that you get to meet because of it. You know, you're meeting metal shapers from all over the country, huge diverse background and ability levels. And to be able to go and find and get an answer like this taken care of is truly worth it. And I encourage everyone to go to a metal meet and you get to try out all the equipment and see for yourself. You know, do I want to buy an expensive echo machine? Well, I don't know. Go to a metal meet and you can use one. Same thing with English wheel, power hammers, all of that stuff. And you can't beat it. So hope that makes sense. Got questions, comments, put it down below. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks. Bye.